¿Qué pasa, niña? ¿Tú crees? No tengo ahorita, sí, vamos a ver. Sí, pero era un pregunta. Ya, pero después de que termine mi clase, ¿ya?
All right.
Elder Marco, are you speaking because your microphone is off
All right.
and your video is not working?
Thank you. You hear me now?
We can't see you.
You see the screen?
Yeah, the screen, yes, but
Yes.
here we don't see you.
Yes, I only do screen share. I think that my camera is not working on this laptop.
Okay.
All right. So this is the first question here. We received 4 questions. I don't know how many we'll be able to answer, but we'll go one by one. And the first question says, should ex-convicts or ex-prisoners be stigmatized by a police record? So I don't know the intention of the question. I don't know the need behind it. I just proceed to give my point of view on this. It is not a, I think it's a personal opinion here. Yeah, it's not a movement or something, position, nothing like that. But maybe we can draw some ideas from what we understand as children of God towards this question. So I have here this text from Wikipedia. Just wanted to get clarification on what it means to have a criminal record. And it says the information included in the criminal record and the existence of a criminal record varies between countries and even between jurisdictions within a country. In most cases, it lists all non-expunged, non-erased criminal offenses. It may also include it may also include traffic offenses such as speeding and drunk driving. In some countries, the record is limited to actual convictions, where the individual has pleaded guilty or been found guilty by a qualified court, resulting in the entry of a conviction. While in others, it also includes arrests, charges dismissed, charges pending, and charges of which individual has been acquitted. A criminal record may be used by potential. So this is the clarification when a criminal record is done. Right, a criminal record is just a database where usually governmental instances, police can look up, but also like employees or something can look up if you have any criminal records in your past. Yeah, what you have done. If you have done something that led to a criminal record, if you have been in prison, if you've been sentenced, what you have done. And this is varies from country to country. Okay. Well, so, and then we have the next point here. A criminal record may be used by potential employees, lenders, and others to assess a person's trustworthiness. So sometimes in some countries, like an employee can look up your criminal record if you are a criminal, if you have done something, if you have been a criminal. If there's something about you, or if you had issues with money or fraud, in case a company or individual wants to lend you money, the bank, for example, right? So this depends again from country to country. And then it continues. Criminal records may also be relevant for international travel and for the charging and sentencing of persons who commit additional criminal offenses. So this means if you commit another criminal offense, nobody knows if you have already done something unless there's a criminal record, right? It's a difference if you killed someone and maybe you have killed already 2 or 3 people before. So there is a criminal record that can enlighten the judge or help the government to understand who you are and what you have done. If you would not have a criminal record, it would be a disadvantage for a court or for the state in the moment of sentencing the person. It's important. I think it can contribute to justice if there is a criminal record. What else is criminal records used? What else are they used? Or, for example, as we said, for traveling, right? International travel. Another country may have no idea about the people that come in if they have some criminal record, right? Unless they have access to a list or to a database. So generally, a criminal record is used for background checks, employment, security clearance, also for adoption. Might be interesting, important to have information about the person. As we said, for immigration, international travel and visa issues, licensing, the license. Yeah, you can imagine a situation where people receive a license to be, I don't know, licensed as a doctor or licensed as some juridical position or in the police something. And if there's a criminal record, it may not be a good idea that the person receives a license. So it's important to have a criminal record. Assistance in developing suspect in ongoing criminal investigations, or for enhanced sentencing in criminal prosecutions. So this is just what Wikipedia lists as important situations where there is a criminal record. So I think so far in the usefulness of a criminal record, I don't know if there are any doubts about the questions if it makes sense to have a criminal record. I'm just speaking about the usefulness. I'm not speaking yet about complications or misuses and nothing like that, right? Because if a person has done something, it may make sense in certain situations, like those that we have enlisted here, that other people or instances or companies may know about it. Yes? Is anyone not in agreement? Or maybe I've missed a special case. I'm just speaking about the general idea behind a criminal record.
I agree with that.
Okay. So now, where's the problem? The problem is that in our time, there are companies, yeah. So this is not state. This is just private companies who can have access to the criminal record. Yes, and they have they can make money and they sell the criminal records for different entities. Yes, this is legal, but I think there's space for critique here. Yeah, they sell this information to instances. I don't know why these instances don't have access, but that's the way it works. Yes, they can offer them to perhaps to police instances that don't have access because it's not their state, so they sell it to other states, stuff like that. Yes, or for employees, for companies that may not have the possibility to access them easily, or I don't know. But this is an issue. So there are companies that make money out of criminal records. Okay, so this is one issue. The second issue is the criminal record just has the criminal record, yes, and it does not reflect what happened to the person. Does not reflect subsequent results. Perhaps the person passed through or did, for example, do a rehabilitation course, or did some medical changes through medicine or through whatever, surgery, things like that, you know, or can really show that it has been acknowledged that issues were resolved. So this does not reflect, is not reflected in the criminal record. It only says what you did. It didn't say what happened then. And it may just give a biased perspective of this person. Okay. It just helps prejudices or just get a wrong idea of this person in some cases. Because it's easy, of course, for a company looking for personnel to dismiss someone who has a criminal record in the past. And no, there's no time to investigate what happened to the person later, if it's resolved, you know, may have happened like 30 years ago, and this person has been different person now. So this is an issue. And there are also problems with mistakes. Yes. For example, people who have the same name, yes, or look similar, stuff like that has happened, and this can be very complicated for individuals. Okay. And the third issue is we have, I don't know the intention, as I said already from the questionnaire, but this is a state issue, correct? And we have already addressed this problem because it's not a church issue. So this is why I said it's my personal opinion that I share here. It's not a church issue. It's not the movement who has to respond to this, yes, so to speak. We can have opinions in regard to this, but it's a state issue. Because in the church, sin works different, right? In the church, what happens to sin? To a criminal record. What's happened to a criminal record? If you have a criminal record in the past, what happens to this? What can happen in best case?
Okay, when you're forgiven, until the day of atonement, it is raised, but Christ holds it for you.
Correct. Sin is erased. Or we have also the term blotted out. Yes? So Christ steps in, and the sin is if we haven't done it to God. Yeah, but this is not something that we can present to the state, right? So for the state, sins are not blotted out. They won't be blotted out. Well, at least not in this sense that it's if it hasn't been done. There's still a record. It may be resolved. You may have paid off your fault. You come a record, but it's not blotted out. It's still there. And this is so therefore it's a totally different universe if we speak from church perspective or from state perspective. And this is definitely a state's issue. So the movement respects the state decision in this. Now, so far, my opinion on that. Maybe the questioner or someone else wants to add something or to clarify something. You're invited.
So I would like to know in that aspect, which is the intention of the question? The original intention.
Okay, I was the one that asked the question, and my intention was because the whole point of the question was that when ex-convicts want to fit, especially in Belize, in the society in Belize, there's a lot of stigmatization that happens, and it's because of the criminal record. So majority of the time, these people cannot, after you go to prison, you really cannot fit into society after that. It's difficult. So that was my intention for the question.
Yes. There are problems with the criminal record, as I already said, and I think this is a different issue. One thing is the criminal record in itself, if it makes sense, if there should be a criminal record, and I think it makes sense, there has to be a criminal record. The other thing is how to handle it. Yes, who can access it? What type of information can be accessed? In the US, as far as I know, in some states, you cannot vote any longer, right? If you have a certain criminal record. This is, for example, something I would say, I don't agree. I don't think this is correct. From the little I know regarding this, my opinion would be no, he's still allowed to vote, for example. Yes, but it does not affect the criminal record in itself. The criminal record is needed, it makes sense. But how now this information can be used or should be handled, and what implications it has from the state's perspective, I think there are some things that are not always okay. All right, anyone, anything else? Good, then we can come to the next question. Next question is, you can read it here. Even before sin, Adam and Eve enjoyed the pleasure of sleeping. Is this a set rule even for a sinless body? Will sleeping also continue in heaven? Once again, I don't know the intention of the questioner. I have no idea. But there are some issues perhaps I see in the question itself. Because it says, even before sin, Adam and Eve enjoyed the pleasure of sleeping. Is this a set rule even for a sinless body? And so Adam and Eve had a sinless body, correct? So why is the question if this is a set rule even for a sinless body, since this was the rule for a sinless body? Okay, this I think is a little issue. And let me share a text with you. It's a bit of prophecy. It is from Testimonies to the Church. And White speaking, she says, you and your wife might have saved yourselves many ill turns and been more cheerful and happy had you sought your ease less and combined physical labor with your study. Your muscles were made for use, not to be inactive. God gave to Adam and Eve in Eden all that their wants required. Yet, their Heavenly Father knew that they needed employment in order to retain their happiness. If you, Brother R, I don't know if this is Brother Raymond, but she's Brother R, just kidding, would exercise your muscles in laboring with your hands some portion of each day, combining labor with study, your mind would be better balanced. Your thoughts would be of a purer and more elevated character, and your sleep would be more natural and healthful. Your head would be less confused and stupid because of a congested brain. Your thoughts upon sacred truths would be clearer, and your moral powers would be more vigorous. Okay, so basically what she's teaching us here is Adam and Eve had certain laws or certain rules to follow, right? Work and physical work and mind work in a balance. And this would, I think this is like a compare and contrast, right? So they had also to sleep. And this means if we copy what they did, we also have same positive results. So you get my point? So what I'm trying to show here is what was valid for Adam and Eve in Eden is also valid for us out of Eden. Yeah, what was valid for them in a sinless body is valid for us in a sinful body. You agree?
My main intention for that question was the fact that Christ remained in that I was discussing it this last night with Lucas. Christ remained in his physical body as he went to heaven, but he doesn't sleep. So will the body need it, or it will be a choice after you are in heaven, or just in earth, because there's this creation of earth with night and day, and the body will obey the rules of this earth, and in heaven you obey different rules. I don't even know if I'm expressing my question right, but that's the direction that I was going.
Okay. Then maybe I can share with you a second quote. When the tide of iniquity overspread the world and the wickedness of men determined their destruction by a flood of waters, the hand that had planted Eden withdrew it from the earth. But in the final restitution, when there shall be a new heaven and a new earth, it is to be restored more gloriously than in the beginning. So this is the concept of Eden and then there will be again Eden, right? What's the difference between those Eden?
One will be more glorious than the other.
Yeah, but the first is glorious already, and the second is more glorious. Yes?
Yeah.
But it says gloriously adorned, right?
Yeah.
So I think this takes the possibility away to think it's glorious because it's spiritual or something. From what I understand, Eden will be like Eden, will be physical Eden. Yeah? So, and there is still the need of eating from the tree of eternal life. Yeah? So, from what I can see and understand is it's the same like it is now. Basically, it is a physical body. It is a physical place where we will be living, and there will be physical procedures in our body to make it work, which includes work, which includes thinking, which includes using the muscles, which includes sleeping, because it's part of the of all of this. You get my point? So if it's Eden to Eden, then the last Eden will be like the first Eden. The first Eden was physical, and sleep was necessary for Adam and Eve. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see it.
Francis, what do you say? Jacob?
Have you heard about the circadian rhythm?
Sorry? But what?
The circadian rhythm. So it's part of the study of the body and the brain and so forth.
It sounds to me, but can you explain?
Well, it's just science. It's science that proves that your body needs to rest.
Oh, yeah.
It's built in. You know, it's built on a rhythm. So there's a time at night where your body automatically needs to shut down in order to reboot. And if you violate that rhythm, it causes more stress. It causes insomnia. It causes disease. You know, all these things. So it's just I'm just referring to a scientific evidence of it that the body is designed to rest, and I believe it was designed that way from creation. It's built in. So even in the new world, I don't think I don't know. And your evidence would more support it. That I believe that there will still be a time to rest.
Yes, the only argument I think was that the body is different in the future. And when the body is different, the glorious body or something, it doesn't need things like sleep or something like that, you know. Right? Raymond.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so part of perfection is to know how to care for the shell. Part of being perfect is to know how to know the rule of your shell, to know the law of your shell that you dwell in.
Okay. Anyone? Anything else?
So will there be night and day in the new world?
So You think there will be a moon? Will there be a sun? Will there be an earth rotating? I don't know if we have proof text answers to these questions. But if it says the earth will be made new, I understand the restoration of the earth and not a complete rearrangement of the universe, right? And the earth will still rotate. Why not? And
I remember hearing Doug Batchelor used to use that verse from Isaiah where the promises from one new moon to another you will go and worship, keeping the Sabbath and so forth. So, but the emphasis is on one new moon to another, right? And the moon, so it implies that the moon will be there, and the moon comes out at night. So, but you know, so I was just wondering, what's the movement point on that? But in regular Adventism, that's what they teach.
yeah. Okay. Can we go to the next, or is there a need for more clarification on this one?
I was thinking that even before sin, the Sabbath was created, and one purpose for the Sabbath is for us to rest, and the Sabbath will be in heaven. So rest doesn't mean that you don't rest simply because you're under the bondage of sin or working too hard, but it's just something natural, I believe.
Okay, I agree. Thank you. So next question then was this one here. In Genesis 3:16, does the word shall, so and you have to take this word, the word shall, yeah? Does this word imply that ruling over the woman did not happen immediately, but that it would eventually happen as the woman grows weaker, and that it was a choice by dominant male ego? If the question is not clear, let's have a look at the verse, and then it will become clearer, I believe. I put it in here. That's the verse 3:16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So this is future tense, right? But in many Bibles, the word shall is written in italics. What does this mean? What does it mean when word in the Bible is written in italics?
That the word is supplied?
Yes. So the word is supplied. It is a deduction from the context or from the way the sentence is formulated to make this a future tense. Yes. So what is the problem here? Once again, the question. In Genesis 3:16, does the word shall imply that the ruling over the woman did not happen immediately, but that it would eventually happen as the woman grows weaker, and that it was choice by dominant male ego? So if we have a timeline here, this was the point when they had to leave Eden. This is the point of Genesis 3:16. And the question is, when does this prophecy take place? Is it here immediately, or is it some point in the future? Because it says shall, yeah. Anyone wants to give his opinion on that?
Yes, I have my opinion in that aspect. I think that it's important to put that verse in a line where we located and see the context. If you can see, it's the chapter 3, and the mom is in the Eden when the man and the woman, they fall in the sin. You see? And who say that word?
Who say what?
Who pronounced that verse? That's yeah.
God, he pronounced the curse.
Yeah, Lord, the Lord. The Lord is pronounced that sentence, and a sentence, after the Lord finished to pronounce the sentences for both, he is going to for both three, right? For all of three, like Adam, Eve, and the snake. You can read it. The verse 16 is for the woman, and what is this one? Yeah, verse 16 is for the woman. Verse 17 is for Aiden, and verse 18 is for the snake, right? Dame un minuto, corazón. And we can see that after that, the sentences, it was fulfilled. And depends how we see that situation. But in that moment, Eve was under dominion of something or someone. In the moment when she incited the sin, when she fell in the sin.
Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson. When she fell, she is under dominion of herself desires or self weaknesses, and after at the same time is under dominion of her husband, because her husband is now he's going to provide her all the food, because she depends completely of him in that aspect. But the things perhaps is not noticed in that way in that time, because they need to at time to realize that situation for them and see how was the development until now, that we have the real situations, the bigger consequence that we are living in our time. I don't know if I let me understand. If it's clear or it's not clear.
I understand your point, my sister. I understand your point.
Yeah, and for that reason, could be sounds like a future, but it's not necessarily a long future. It's after finish the sentence, immediately start. They fulfill the sentences, and after continue developing the consequences. Yeah.
So in this very sentence, there's some indication of time when this will happen, right? And this is unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. So at the next conception, or at her first conception, she would already receive these consequences. When was this? This was not in history when women would, as the question says, become weaker. Yes, this was her conception. So within her lifetime, it would be seen. Yeah, and there's no reason to think that the consequences do only refer to conception, not to the other things. Yeah, bring forth children. So the consequences are definitely immediately. This is what I understand here. Of course, they develop, they become worse. Yes, and as it says, as in the interpretation of the male of man, yes, the dominant man, and the development of the patriarch philosophy, these things became worse and worse. I agree. But nevertheless, I don't think that you can take this from the word shall and make it a future issue. Anything? Any questions, comments on that?
I like the answer. I like the answer that I got there. That was something that I was pondering on my mind for a long time. So could see it now in that light.
Okay, I'm happy. Sounds good.
A question out. I'm wondering, was the woman created weaker physically from the start, or did she just become that way due to sin?
I think that it's very problematic to speak about weak or less weak or stronger. I think she was made for according to the needs, and like during childbirth, there are some different needs. I don't know if she was like, she had the muscles of the woman in this time as big or as the man's muscles. I don't know about that. But I think a weak is not a good concept here.
Yeah, I agree, because that's what men use to continue on being sexist, right? They always refer to that. But I agree what you said. I mean, women were created with what they needed, and it shouldn't be compared. But we always do, because I mean, those who are honest, men who are honest, they always admit that in many ways women are stronger than men in certain ways. So it balances you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Anything else to this question? Mm. Right, then we come to the next question. The last one here. How important does the movement view mental health? Is there any assistance for those suffering with mental conditions? I would like to share a quote. It is not from the movement. It is a quote by a psychologist who is part of the, here you have it, is his name, Kenneth Pargament. He is part of the American Psychological Association, APA. Yes, and he's a specialist in the relationship between religion and mental health or psychology. Okay, once again, this is a rather personal perspective on this. The movement doesn't have like a statement on that or something like that, right? But I think we get an idea of the movement's direction or ideas when we have seen the elders' presentations. Okay, so let me share this quote. It is true, though, that people often do turn to their faith as a source of solace and support in their most stressful moments. In fact, some groups, such as the elderly and minority groups, may be more likely to look to their faith for help than to family, friends, and the healthcare system. Empirical studies of many groups dealing with major life stressors, such as natural disasters, illness, loss of loved ones, divorce, and serious mental illness, show that religion and spirituality are generally helpful to people in coping, especially people with the fewest resources facing the most uncontrollable of problems. However, there are many forms of religious coping, and some are more helpful than others. People can draw on many religious and spiritual resources that have been tied to better adjustment in times of crisis. These positive religious coping methods include spiritual support from God or a higher power, rituals to facilitate times of crisis. Now, life transitions, spiritual forgiveness, support from a religious institution or clergy, and reframing a stressful situation into a larger, more benevolent system of meaning. On the other hand, some forms of religious and spiritual coping can be more problematic. Life events can shake and shatter people spiritually as well as psychologically, socially, and physically. People may struggle spiritually with their understanding of God, with inner conflicts, or with other people. A growing body of research has linked these spiritual struggles to higher levels of psychological distress, declines in physical health, and even greater risk of mortality. Thus, it's important for psychologists and other healthcare providers to be aware of the dual nature of religion and spirituality. They can be vital resources for health and well-being, but they can also be sources of distress. Okay, so the conclusion: religion or faith can be a help, a vital resource for health. This includes mental health, but also they can be a problem for mental health. So from this perspective only, and just simplifying the information here and reducing it to perhaps the main idea. Does the movement view mental health as important? And I believe definitely, because it tries to be a resource for health and well-being. Yes, our faith has taken a very decisive orientation in healing people. Yeah, and erasing wrong concepts and ideas that have an impact, a negative religious impact on our well-being. I think that our movement is it's a good example of faith that really tries to do everything that it understands, everything that is possible to provide a faith that is soothing, that is healing, that gives provides peace, etc. So in this sense, I think the whole orientation of this movement is really providing a good, or help to get a good mental health. But there's more to say. I think Solange has something to contribute as well.
Yeah, I think that it's important to have a care of our mental health. And I think other tests, she also mentioned that we usually have the tendency to say when we have a mental health to put away and see, I'm going to resolve after. It's just a stupid thing. I don't going to pay so much attention, but there is a problem there. If the problem is here, our heart is here, our soul is not comfortable. And I think we have to resolve that issue. We have to talk. And for that reason, the Adventism was under the preconceived idea that the psychology aspect, the psychology like a science, is not good, because Ellen White said that it's a satanic science. But when Ellen White see that aspect or write that text, she was at the beginning of the psychology, and it was in that time was not a science, was totally experimental aspect. Studies totally experimental, and they was really rude. But like a science, it was a growing and development now, and officially now it's a science that can help us and can provide us good information for us to grow in knowledge about ourselves. And I think this is important to take this quote of Ellen White when it say that the psychology is a diabolic science, put away, because it's no more for our time. And we have to, if we have a necessity to talk, we have problem in us, it's important that we talk. In fact, Marco and I, we start like 1 year ago to talk about some brethren that looking for us in order to help, to get help to, or get advice for some situations. And in that conversations, they start to open, and we realize that they have all kind of necessity. Sometimes is so much help for them, just listen them without any advice or any judgment, just listen them. And in that moment is so much grateful for them. And this situation create that they get more trust in us and speak more openly about what they feel or what they happens, and that help us to give them a good advice or give advices where who can find information or professional help there in different areas where we talk. We start to talk about with our old brethren in Spanish, but we start first, or we prioritize the person that they are openly to do it. They're looking for help, because we cannot go to approach to the people and asking, how is your life, you need help? Like, it's not comfortable for the person. It's also for us not comfortable, because we respect the privacy of the person. But if the person decides that need help, you can count with us. We can talk, we can help you, and we can listen you. That is important. And I think this aspect is have to be personally, and because the person decide to do it, or find that it's necessary, they need to do it for them. And I'm not sure if this is help for you, but that is what we are doing now with the other brethren. Yes, that's.
And speaking to the question, if the movement provides help, I'm not sure what it means and if there's any assistance. So the movement doesn't have like a psychologist that work for the movement or something like that, but you have heard that the elders have suggested in different situations that we should seek, we can seek help within the movement from people, spiritual leaders, or people that we can trust spiritually in the movement. But there's a certain point where certainly we would need seek from professionals, psychologists, right? And because of many, because of this, the experience, their knowledge, they need to be consulted. And if there is someone who has issues, mental issues or health issues. So what you want to say, what you want to perhaps expand the question, add something, please speak up.
Or in the case that you need help and you need to talk about something personally, do it privately. But you can text us or you can call us and treat this situation privately. I think it's more comfortable for the person also.
Yes, of course. I just mean here, if there is something that we misunderstood or you need this clarification on the answer. Any comment, anything else? All right. So perhaps something else, just to in closing. You have seen that we have started a different set now of topics, and you have been presenting already some topics. We had this reading together of A.T. John's book, and I believe it was a good exercise in order to develop understanding. And oftentimes we made comments, we said, can you please resume? Can you please make questions? Can you ask the others? And this was not always perfect, but I hope that you have learned that when you study like this, it is very important to have it in a way that And it's also important that you learn to make questions. Yes, I miss oftentimes more feedback from you or more opinion from you. In your group, certainly there are some who speak more than others. This is okay. But especially those that are not used to speak so much, they need to train and to speak up and to learn to speak. Because if you speak up, if you make questions, this trains your integration and your participation into development of understanding the issue. If you don't do this, if you just consume, you won't learn much, right? You can fall easily in a situation of consuming and just listen, but you won't have a big benefit. So I don't know if you have realized this, but we have tried oftentimes to encourage and to make questions. And because you can read the text and you think you understand it, but then you can stop and make questions and you realize there's so much to say about some sentences. And these things we need to train, we need to find them out. So now in the second set of presentations, this is different because you have to develop a topic. And the main, or one of our main aims is that you integrate what is being taught in the movement, that you understand what the elders teach. So none of these topics that we selected are disconnected to presentations by the elders. There's always a presentation of one of the elders behind the topics. And I think you really need to make emphasis in emphasis on the spiritual applications. It's not so much important, not so important to have all the technical background, the history, because we can find this at the end of the day, we can find this on YouTube, Wikipedia, wherever we can find good information on the history of this and that. But the next step to say, why is this a spiritual issue? How does it fit into our line or whatever? These things are very, very important, and you need really to focus on these. And I hope that, and for this reason, you need to understand Elder Tess or Parminder's presentations. So this is implied. Yeah, you need to study those presentations in order to make the other presentation, your presentation. Does it make sense?
So we can see the situation about the presentations until now. What we perceive is that you are not using the presentation form of alerts properly, or you are not connect the topic and treat every topic that I send for July and August, the topics, all them, they are connected by the midnight cry message. And it's important to see how it's connected, how we can see every topic that Elder Tess is touching, is using, is making us reading about through the media broadcast, and for what we are reading that. And all of them, they are connected with the midnight cry message. And it's important that you can join the line and see which is the connection. There are different aspects, and also the properly use of methodology. And it's important to ask that everyone presenting and we can see, observe you in one aspect. We are going to help you or provide more support for you. there was someone that is need more methodology, and someone need more like application of the line, the use of the lines, or someone is just practice like the choose a good point, good sources of information. And we are observing now, and we are taking notes. Marco is perceiving some details, and we are elaborating at the same time. While we observe, we are elaborating program how we can help you more, and in which better it will be great for us. But also we have to organize it, and we have to find the best way for help you. And perhaps for the moment we don't say so much because we're just observing now, and we don't want to criticize nobody. And I think we understand that everyone is learning, is practicing, and it's important that everyone commit their own mistake, and they see which is they recognize which is your necessity and can express also for us. This is so I see that it's more difficult for me to read properly Ellen White now because there is ton issue. So in that way, it's more easy for us to help you when you recognize in which aspect you need more help. Can you see that aspect or not? Good. What about the rest of the people?
Yes, yes.
You also need to try to make it as didactical as possible. I know there's sometimes maybe issues with internet or whatever, but you see the elders, they only use the board. Sometimes they use they blend in the text, screen sharing a little bit, yes. So but it's very important that you use these methods, that something is visually supported, because information is difficult to hold. Yeah. So I don't know if everyone has a whiteboard, but you can. Some people have used the paper, and they put the phone, so they're filming the paper. But something it's always important, yeah, to blend in the text, to blend in to have some lines that you draw, to make some points, point 1, 2, 3, etc. Keep this in mind for the future presentation, so they enrich the experience of everyone, and they can and we can have the experience of, we understood the topic, not only the information side, but also the spiritual integration, and then everything make also very didactical, very interesting. This is something that just wanted to add and give. Yeah, so you can take it into account.
If I can make a suggestion, if you're going to use some quote or verse, for someone perhaps it's difficult to find in that moment. For the technology, for example, my case is the technology. I never know how to use that app. But in the case, it's important if you can paste the quote in the chat for all the rest can following at the same time reading, like you are reading. Just a suggestion. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or like we did with Lucas, right? You can tell me, Marco, can you please find these, or can you please download this map, and we can blend it in. We can share screen if technically, or if because of internet it's not so easy for you.
Good.
Okay.
But for the moment, I want to say thank you for all of you that you are encouraged to participate, to do it. In a Spanish group, it was almost 8 months that convinced the people to present, to do it, to start to practice your labor like a teachers. And in with you it was everyone was agreeing. I want to say thank you for that. It was not so much work for me to convince you to present like an in a Spanish group.
All right. So for us, the new week has already started. I think you are on the border, or is it already dark? In Belize, not yet. You still have Sabbath?
No, it's not dark yet. Yeah, still have maybe an hour more to go.
Okay, so we wish you a blessed last hour of the Sabbath day, and feel free to ask anything, please. I hope we can be there for you whenever you need, and looking forward for next presentations, next question and answers. All right.
You see, you're growing your hair. It looks really nice.
Yeah. Thank you. The idea is to have it like up to here. No, I don't know.
You are the only person that likes his hair. The others say, oh, your hair is so long.
Someone wants to have a closing prayer?
Sister Francis, you want to make the prayer, please?
Just one last question. You were saying like the topics that you gave us, Sister Tess has already discussed about it.
Mhm.
All of them, Elder Tess are discussing.
Okay. All right. I'll try to find my one. I think my one is gonna be Wednesday, right?
Friday, Wednesday, I think it's my turn. I don't know. Yeah, it's first you after me. Yeah, that's right. I see the calendar.
Okay. All right, then let's pray. Dear Jesus, we want to give you thanks for this day that you have provided for us. You gave us the opportunity to be with our friends and family and help us to understand and to learn how to use the methods, the correct methods as we grow together. Help us to help one another and to appreciate one another. And we want to give you thanks for Elder Marco and his wife. Bless them. And bless everybody that was joining here today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Happy New Week to everyone.
Happy